and good evening to you. So, this is a thing we haven't covered in a while, and we haven't even attempted to do a stream of since we're basically waiting for the whole early access thing to happen, which is, I mean, it's currently in that status, so that's all well and dandy. So first thing to get out of the way for any folks that did not know that there was a sequel to Xenonauts. I mean, technically there isn't yet, but there will be, and it's a work in progress right now. Basically, all of this is obviously going to still be an early build. This is not a completed thing. A lot of this stuff is still placeholder. I mean, even this thing, I'm fairly certain at some point we'll start getting some animation or something like that. You don't have other difficulties yet or anything like that. Though, interestingly enough, you do have a campaign name randomizer here, which just kind of sticks to your profile. But yeah, we're gonna turn on Iron Man mode. Why not? We're basically just giving this one quick run through here. See, I say quick, but these things are very, very relative. And waiting for the chat to come up here real quick before we do other stuff. Apparently, it's not responding. Oh well, we'll figure that out as we'll figure it out. Now, as far as background goes, since typically for these kinds of early access things, you at least want to give some general idea of what somebody's experience is with the genre as a whole. So basically, Xenonauts it's basically the first, I guess, kind of, sort of second. Like, as far as XCOM-like games, I've loved the concept since forever. But basically, I used to watch a whole lot of the classics, kind of growing up, and whenever I tried to go and take a look at them, I had no clue what was going on. When new XCOM had come out, that got me really excited and sucked at it for the longest time. And yeah, it took quite a while until I kind of got decent at that one. Then a few years back, my friend ends up gifting me Xenonauts, and I'm figuring, like, okay, this looks a lot like the classic stuff, but I can kind of understand what's going on a bit better. And lo and behold, it was actually aside from the new XCOM there, like Enemy Unknown, it was the first thing of this type that I had actually gotten all the way through. And, really love the idea, really love the kind of... I don't want to say, like, I always kind of considered it a death clock for Xenonauts 1. But just basically that whole thing where you're pretty much as good as you're gonna be at the very start. And then, as time goes on, you just get more and more overwhelmed, and hopefully you've developed the right counters to certain things, but realistically you might not run into what you potentially, optimally might run into. You might run into missions where you just get squished right away, and it had that fantastic kind of horror feel to it. Now, these load times, I should say right off the bat, that is possibly due to the computer. I've seen people's load times all over the dang place. It seems like it may just be, from person to person. I know my load times have consistently been atrocious, but again, this is like super early. It's definitely not ready to go yet. Anyway, so yeah, as far as this game goes, eventually ended up picking up X Division. Absolutely loved X Division. Ended up Iron Manning the entire thing, and yeah, still have not completed UFO Defense or Terror from the Deep, though I have gotten pretty far into those. But yeah, it's just kind of a funny thing. Like, I've literally completed X Division before the classics, so to speak. And well, with all that introduction out of the way, we are almost done with the loading bar. Now, this is for the creating a campaign loading bar. I realistically probably should have done this before actually starting this whole thing, but it's an ungodly hour. Main reason that I'm here right now, because I was originally kind of scrapping the idea of doing this whole stream whatsoever, but basically I can't sleep. I had way too much coffee earlier, and at this point I got woken up by the dang cat just meowing at me, so screw it, we're doing this until I pass out, basically. And alright, so new stuff that they added for Xeno 2, because so far the way that I describe Xeno 2, just kind of based off previous builds and based off different news stories and stuff like that, It seems to be trying to take a lot of interesting ideas from, like, it seems to take the general gist of the original, where you're basically always on a budget crunch. It seems to take a lot of things from X Division in terms of like customization for your air game and customization for your people's armor and just kind of a bit more of like I don't want to say like a tactical feel to it, because that kind of just brings to mind like like, oh, look at me and all my guns kind of mentality. But I mean, like that whole feeling where you have to consider, do they need the heavier armor for this kind of situation, or do they, would they be better off with some extra inventory, that kind of thing. Like X Division handled that pretty awesomely, where you basically wanted to overload your units because all of that extra carry capacity was going to be a bit more useful than, some of their spare turn units and things like that. All right, so let's. Let's see, where exactly would it be? I think it's technically around here-ish. For those that didn't know, in Michigan, there's a theme park dedicated to Snoopy and the Peanuts. So naturally, Snoopy's going to be leading the defense of the Earth here. So looks like, looks like you don't start off with the invasion research. Seems you start off with your 3 different researches this time. The autopsy cleaner, study of recovered corpses from extraterrestrial species designated as the cleaner. All right, that's new. Like, there is going to be a lot of new stuff since I last played. It's been a couple months. Anyway, armor, I know we already start off with a couple suits. Scout platform, yes. Huh. I'm really curious what it's going to be with this cleaner thing. I want the platform right away, because that thing's always consistently been really cool. Let's see, background. Okay, so UFOpedia is not a thing yet. UFOpedia was kind of sort of there in previous versions, but it looks like they reworked some stuff, so, that's kind of gone away for the moment. Yeah, grenade launcher used to be something you'd have to research. Now you actually start off with it, and presumably you get different kinds of rounds as time goes on, because you just start off with the smoke rounds at the beginning here. Now, weapon-wise, it's... oh, they did actually... Okay, they did give you the comparison now. Good. Comparison's a new feature as far as I'm aware. Like, if I say XYZ is a new feature, more than likely it's because of, I'm talking about a couple months ago or something. So, just so you know. Okay. Yeah, I like this comparison. It's you don't really need too many colors flying around here, because this, yeah, this works. I like this. It just feels solid. Let's see. Rifle, I believe, is up 5 damage from Xeno 1. I should probably explain, by the way, for the setting of this, for anyone unfamiliar, basically, Xeno 1 is just the invasion happens in the 70s. Xeno 2 is just, instead of doing the invasion, they decide to pit everybody against each other, and it's basically the entirety of, like, 2016 to 2020, except in the background since the Cold War, and the world is just basically on the brink of World War III for the longest time. Yeah, so there's that, which, interestingly, as far as being on the brink of World War III, headlines this morning, apparently China was threatening to nuke Japan off the map, which, what the hell? Anyway, hopefully that doesn't happen, but apparently the world has not stopped being any, any flavor of crazy. Okay, so, as far as stuff that we start off with, okay, I guess we don't start with the combat armor anymore. That's fine, whatever. But yeah, for those that didn't know, you have, like, modular armor and stuff like that. The Rebreathers more or less let you breathe through, as well as one would expect. They let you breathe through a mask. So I don't know if you take less or just no gas damage, but it seems like you should theoretically not take any at the cost of some accuracy. And if you're wondering about the faces, I believe most, if not all of these, are Kickstarter backers, but specifically up to a certain degree. Alright, So, as far as what's different... Wait, what happened to the... What happened to the agents and things? Okay, they might be a bit more dynamic now. There's a system in this in which, like, you have little events that pop up all over the map. Like, think War of the Chosen, except they're you just kind of send people out to them. They're just like little away missions. So, like, again, think of like War of the Chosen, except you don't have to go there. All right, we can't build anything yet. What's our deal with bases? Yeah, hiring-wise, you have a training capacity, you have a living capacity. Training capacity is just like passive training, more or less, as you'd pretty much expect. There's a stress rating. I don't know if that's fully implemented yet. This is our base. It's looking like we slightly altered the one from original XCOM, more or less. But you do get a living adjacency bonus this time around. I haven't seen the new base defense, so we'll see how that all works out. High-tech versions of workshops and labs seem like a new thing. Let's see, training center, how much is that going to be? So I want to go for a couple training centers. Is there any particular... That's weird. I kind of would have expected to see a bit more of an overlay popping up, but that might just be my settings. Living quarters. How much are these costing? 250k? Yeah. Now we're going to want a lot more people. If this is anything like before, we are going to want some lab-type situations. Let's see, +4, plus 50% speed. Now, I don't know how this is working staffing-wise. Like, power-wise, you can shut rooms on and off to conserve power in different ways and do kind of like emergency-type stuff. And, alright, we've basically blown half our budget on just this, but that should hopefully be fine. I don't know if there's any meta to any of this. I don't know. It's just kind of... I'm just putting stuff down as I would figure it would work. Okay, so we don't need another radar. So radar stacking from Xeno 1 is not a thing anymore. Where are our away missions? I'm kind of tempted to send out some jets to go scouting or something. So you start off with only one jet. As you may have noticed earlier, jets are customizable at this point. They've got different plates and different reactors and all this, different type stuff. There's also experience for your pilots, so kind of more of like a long war type deal going on there. Supposedly they're going for more of like an XDiv situation where your fights have more dynamicness to them. You've got, UFOs adapting to the way you're fighting or things like that. But we'll see. We'll see how that all ends up playing out. Obviously, AI is still kind of early at this point. They said that ground combat AI is kind of coming together. Air combat-wise, it's kind of cool that they implemented this sort of like moving map. So like in the previous one, you could get yourself stuck in the corners, and that was kind of a mechanical thing. So they just made the fights really easy, so you didn't run into that very often. In this one, they made the map move, so if you want to outrun something, you got to actually outrun it. Again, we'll see how much of a mechanic that is. There's also like a whole cloud cover thing. Don't quite know how that all works. And on top of that, what else was there? Yeah, it's unclear exactly how everything is going to go still, so we'll just kind of forego thoughts on that for a little bit. The one thing I do know for sure is that the air combat music is just awesome. So we'll see that as we'll see it. And not much going on this first week, apparently, so let's go ahead and go fast mode. And get that game lagging real good. Actually, I like that this is doing way smoother now. That used to lag a lot more. So there's the We swear it's not a shiv. Let's get the cleaner going. I do like that you have your choices right off the bat. Because that, I will say that is something that kind of bugged me about most of the rest of the genre, which is just you always start off with your one project. And I get it. You're not, usually when it's the very first time into the game, because each of them were pretty much designed as like this is going to be your first experience into it. Normally when somebody would go into doing something like that, their first thought would be like, okay, you know, I'm just going to go through all this stuff. Oh, wait, research just happened. Now I can go pick my own research because it's giving me the prompt to. So, you know, in theory, this is adding more complications. But again, this is a sequel. Presumably, people will know what they're doing. One would hope. Anyway. I mean, Xeno in general is way more simulation heavy than XCOM at this point. Like I will say, Xeno 1 did have that trial and error feel at some point. I hope they keep the tech tree randomization. Alright, let's see. Abduction. Been detected, and they're doing stuff, and we send people... And I'm just going to leave them with their default loadout to see how well they do. So one thing that is different, all of your different equipment types will be more specialized for what they specifically do. Yeah, I would hope Reapers aren't the very first enemy we run into. But like, for example, if you have a flashbang, that is guaranteed going to suppress. If you have a smoke grenade, that is guaranteed going to block all vision in one area, except for Sebby's. So either way, it's a lot more dedicated. So in the case of stun grenades, like flash grenades, you can't use for your first mission capture anymore. Presumably, that's what this research is for right here. So Reaper's Insectoid Nightmare, which yeah, this is literally just the Reaper report. We have tracer cleaner enemies to this facility. Capturing them may help us understand the origins of this Mysterio... What? Weird. Okay, so you just uncover a base? Interesting. In that case, can we just airstrike this? Okay, well, hopefully this is just like a basic little raid, and then we go do that. It's kind of interesting that you start off with a base right off the bat. Alright. So it hasn't come up yet, but one of the big mechanical differences... So for Xeno 2, in order to kind of emulate that... well, from what I understand, they wanted to emulate the feeling that Xeno 1 had, where you were constantly on a death clock, but they didn't want to do it the same way. So like in Xeno 1, it was mostly because everything got more and more expensive, but your overall income kept dropping. So you had to keep getting more and more choosy, your budget got tighter and tighter, and like at most you were maybe operating 3 bases, and it kind of just, like, especially around the point where the USSR is guaranteed to betray you and stuff like that, like it had this really hopeless feeling, which on the one hand, perfect for the setting, but yeah, for something like this, you would kind of hope that they would sort of get past all the Cold War crap a little bit faster. I mean, I guess it's less the USSR betrays you and more just they sell your laser guns to everybody, which ultimately ends up being a beneficial gameplay thing, because suddenly rando NPCs are running around with laser carbines, but, you know, still. Functionally speaking, they do give you free laser guns. Like, if you capture them and have somebody pocket the things, you can just bring them back home. Anyway. Alright, so let's see what's changed here. Probably a good bit. I have no way to know for sure, and we are stuck at 99%. These things will happen. Alright. But yeah, oh yeah, so what I was getting at with this death clock thing. So in this one, you seem to have a much more flexible budget. You seem to have more people at your disposal, but you're limited in terms of how many you can actually hire at any given point. So there's only so many engineers or scientists or soldiers that you can actually recruit at any given point. On the resource side of things, and then on the just kind of pressure side of things, there's a orbital bombardment that is constantly ongoing. That it's like every once a week or so, they just sort of wipe a city off the map. So yeah, and then you gotta send people to go just somehow convince everybody that this is fine, which they somehow do. So good on them. It would be kind of cool if we get all kinds of little cutscenes for that later. Wouldn't recommend that. That is a complete waste of resources. But okay, so I got these guys right off the bat. Okay, there's less zooming. I can't help but notice that, yeah, like, maybe it's something to do with my settings, I don't know. It's gonna be 14 fire. Hopefully that's gonna be fine. Okay, they've got like a spotted mechanic, that's alright. And what are you? I don't know what that is, but those are like little engineer monkeys. You got the dudes over here. I forget how much crouch costs. Yeah, so you always see on the little bar how much it's gonna cost. It's 14 to fire. I just might as well crouch and fire then. Let's be a little more defensive about it. I can just like crouch and burst here because this guy's gonna be pretty close. Oh, nice. He just got shot right in the nose. Well, yeah, that's Xenonauts in a nutshell. Alright. Next pointless sacrifice. Beautiful. Alright. This thing is 45. Why don't you... Well, provided you ever get a turn. Why don't you go ahead and go for the suppress over here. So we just want to keep them pinned. Had this one kneeling down so that hopefully we can do something with this. You may have potentially noticed that there's a lot more activity now, or rather, sorry, there's a lot more accuracy when it comes to not hitting your own people. That's why I'm not as worried about it. And no, might as well go for the kill because pretty much everything's suppressed at this point. Okay, sucks to suck. Now, if you're wondering, again, why I'm just, like, bum rushing here, normally this would not be recommended under any circumstances, but at this point I know the AI isn't exactly the brightest bulb in the box, so more than likely we'll just be able to get away with this. These guys are probably just going to scamper around. If we don't, whatever, this is, we're just figuring out new features at this point. There's no way that this is going to be a complete campaign. I'm actually not even sure if there is a complete campaign to do yet. So, oh well. That's fine. Is there any universe in which... Yeah, you actually do have a shot, surprisingly. And I'm a little bit surprised that this guy hasn't panicked yet because of all the shots whizzing by. Okay, so it looks like they did finally include something that original XCOM has. Okay, it's funny because original back in the day XCOM had a bunch of weird like quality of life buttons that, in all honesty, probably caused more issues than they actually saved. But it was kind of a kind of part of the whole system there. But one of them was just your unit's done, don't bring them up again. Which fair enough. They also have the zero out button, so hopefully they do add a zero out. I believe that one came up for Terror from the Deep. Like, I want to say it was like a PS1 version feature, and then they brought it back or something. I don't know, one of those things. But it never had a suppression mechanic, and I will take that suppression mechanic over anything, anytime. Presumably the hidden movement is also placeholder, but we will see as time goes on. My guess is that these guys are probably going to be the bulk of everything that's going on here. So, to that end... Oh! Frags are instant now. Alright, that's good. Got a bit more X-Div going on. I'm not entirely sure why they only do 5 damage. If they're closer, are they going to do more? If they're closer, they vaporize. Okay, fantastic. Let's just go ahead and do one of them then. Okie doke. Alright, seems like Shoddy's got nerfed a little bit. That doesn't matter, only needs 17. Should be able to get right up in their face and blow them away. Beautiful. Alright, and they're just doing like a little raid thing, so presumably we get that little tokeny type situation, and I guess we win? I don't know. I don't know if that thing's related to anything, I don't know if it does anything. It's kind of just there. Then again, also because of the weird hour, I'm not really sure anyone's even going to be showing up to this thing tonight, so that's a thing slash not a thing, too. Alright, go ahead and leave all our sharpshooters and things. Only lost 1 unit so far, so we're probably all good to at least go take a peek at what that facility looks like. Let's pop you around hereabouts. And then get you probably about here. Normally you don't want to cluster them up like this, but again, I'm assuming we're just dealing with basic nobodies at this point. It's probably not going to be too much of an issue. As long as we've got one there that's captured, which we do. Or not captured, but downed. I do hope they bring back one mechanic from the originals rather, which was just accidental KOs, where you had like a really small chance to accidentally knock something out instead of killing it. It just made it so that you occasionally got a free capture if stuff went really bad. But sometimes was handy. Anyway. You kneel and watch there. I'm still hoping at some point they include the means to zoom in a little bit more. But it's not a priority by any means. Nice to know what exactly it is I'm looking at here. And this little fence is probably going to do next to nothing. Just going to leave her facing this direction in case anything happens to come around there. Maybe even put this guy that way. Looks like somebody's got their little meth lab or whatever up there. Go search the building. A lot of nothing there. It's running a good bit smoother than before. Just want to point out. Alright, yeah, that's all looking pretty clear. So we can have both these guys head on this way. This is looking a bit more snappy. It's not quite as snappy as Xeno 1 yet, but I feel like it'll get there. Because early builds of this thing were hyper slow. There we go. I think we have what we're looking for. One gung-ho guy with a rifle over there. See, so in terms of the like random NPCs and things like that, this might be a kind of a dumb thing, but one thing I really hope they include is just some really incompetent AIs at some point. I don't know how you're pulling off these shots, but I'm not going to question it either. But, like, for example, like, okay, you know how, however, pretty much every time there's some kind of event, like, stateside here where, you know, some loony just, you know, goes nuts on people in public and whatnot, and there's always some dickhead who's just sitting around like, oh, there needs to be more people with guns, that's a problem. And then pretty much immediately there's somebody that ends up going and running a whole test of just here, you know, getting a bunch of random people together, giving them a gun, and seeing how they do in that sort of scenario if they simulate it. And pretty much every time it's the same result of just complete pandemonium, and most of the time they end up shooting each other. So, depressing as that may be, it would be kind of interesting to see how that sort of chaos would end up playing out in a game like this. Where it's just like some random guy running around panic firing all over the dang place. Which, again, I'm pretty sure I recall, well, actually, no, it wasn't random NPCs, but you did see that with wait, has not acted? Well, that's fine. Let him not act. Maybe he feels like being a singer. Jeez, trying to define his career before anything even happened. That is a cool feature, though. And, yeah, she's fine. What was I getting at? Oh, yeah, so you would see the sectoids and stuff like that occasionally panicking and, you know, firing on their own people and whatever else. But it would be kind of neat to see, you know, like some random dude just, you know, pulls out a pistol and is completely panicking because he doesn't know what the actual situation is. I mean, yes, it might kind of be a bit too true to life, so to speak, but, you know, considering how absolutely nutso the rest of the game typically tends to be, might be kind of neat. Because if anything, the AIs tend to be a little bit too competent sometimes. A few times when playing X Division, for example, I'd gotten a bit behind tech-wise, and funnily enough wound up in a situation where just some random farmers were just coming and completely outperforming the supposedly elite team of people. just like random nobody with a friggin' shotty. Alright, well, we kind of sort of got the drop on the guy. You've got no shots. Figuring if we start moving these guys over this way. We got a couple grenades on them. Our first order of business is going to be behind this barricade here. This one faces this way. This one probably moves up here. This one takes a crouch. And just sort of waits to ambush for now. Probably should put out a smoke, but oh well. Yeah, it's 4 to crouch now, not 3. Is that right? That's fine. And I'd be willing to bet that's probably the last guy, so you're just going to stand over here around this corner. These two aren't going to do anything, and moving on. Now, if you're curious as to why it seems like the gunfights are a bit more believable this time around compared to Xeno 1, everything is more, like, there's a lot more things taken into consideration. Like, before it was just, there's a thing in the way, there's a percentage chance that it'll hit that thing. So it just basically rolls for a chance to hit for every single object in the way, regardless of whether or not that made sense. So, like, for example, there were cases where you would just shoot the thing right in front of you. Like, if he were to shoot right here, it would probably hit this thing. In 2, from what I understand it, there's, well, A, there's better, proper 3D modeling for things, but for B, depending on different heights, like, it takes into consideration, like, if this guy's firing right here, this thing is this high, he should not have a chance of hitting this fence, for example. Stuff like that. So, there's a decent bit more of that kind of stuff. There we go. Called it. And so there we go. And similar thing applies to throws. I believe they work exactly opposite to where they were before, where you have basically checks for each thing along the way in the original Xeno. In this one, it's more like they are assumed to throw it full distance at first, and then it kind of calculates down of like, did it hit the farthest thing away? Did it hit the next farthest thing away? Or rather, next closest thing? Something like that. But either way, it feels a lot more like your people know what they're doing, basically. Like, if you were ever wondering why the throw accuracy was so high in X Division, presumably that's why. Because the game was just checking for closest and closest and closest. And so sometimes you wind up with a situation where you still had a 100% chance to land a throw, only for them to throw it at, some random shrub at their feet. But anyway, that is neither here or there for now. So we'll see if they can go do the base now that that first mission's done. So it's feeling a lot better. I will say, since the last version I played, it's feeling a lot smoother. They fixed the biggest bug that I had an issue with, which was the fact that it was dang near unplayable a few months ago because of a bug that admittedly did not affect very many people, but basically what this thing did was that it screwed with the skybox in such a way that for whatever reason, you would just see a bunch of cut off squares completely blocking your vision from pretty much all angles in different locations. So just imagine trying to look at the game through a broken, bag or something like that blowing in the wind. It's kind of what it felt like. It was a very weird bug. Apparently it's something to do with the shadows or something like that. Like, they were on fixing it, but it was just more a matter of that was, I just ran into that rare bug, and it is what it is. Sometimes bugs happen, especially with something like this. What can you expect? That's a weird way of putting it. I don't know why I would put it that way. Honestly, I was saying this a long time ago. I have way more faith in this project becoming an awesome project in the end than anything ever coming out of Phoenix Point. Supposedly, Phoenix Point has gotten better, but it sounds like it still has a lot of the same core issues because it's just kind of strange. Like, it seemed like they sort of missed the point of why a bunch of stuff was good in the originals. But either way, I haven't played the year one version, so who knows? Maybe a lot of things improved since then. I just know that the original release build was hard to stomach. But anyway, liking this so far. Hopefully we get to see more interesting mechanical stuff. Like, one thing that I've kind of hoped to see more of is some of the stuff that never really got a chance to play much in the original like XCOMs and things. So for example, like hybrid, fighter dropship type deals. It would be very cool if there was a way to have a thing with like lower drop capacity, but then it also is a crappier jet. Because there's some oddly specific situations, like you have a scout over there, but you have a more important mission over here. In Xeno, there's a role for that. In the original XCOM, there really kind of wasn't, because, I mean, you go shoot the thing down, you send your dropship, assuming it'll get shot down, and there you go. No need to worry about it. But, alright. Come on, 99%. Let's get this thing loaded already. See, folks have asked why I have not streamed more Xeno 2. The load times are partially why, and also because in previous versions they had not officially said it was early access, meaning that I technically couldn't. But anyway, hopefully we get to see this, see some of these fancy gadgets over here on this helicopter coming into play. I know a lot of folks were asking just to see more like mechanical bits on dropships and things like that. It's like it'd be kind of cool, like even if it's just a spotlight, if they can shine a spotlight in front of the ship, or, and I know it's a helicopter, stop calling it a ship, but still, like it'd be cool if it shone, shone a bunch of lights around it, or, you could maybe toggle lights on or off. Probably that wouldn't work because, I mean, it's basically a map element, but it would be cool to see it potentially, shining lights and things. That is something I really liked about Xeno 1. I really hope that they do more of that in Xeno 2, where it's just like the vehicles have the headlights on there, or you have things like the power armor and just changing the way, every single unit wearing it works. Just seeing more locals getting involved in things. Supposedly there is going to be a mechanic at some point where you can call in locals to help you, so pretty much a dream come true on that one. Alright, so let's see if we can redirect you to go here. Oh. That thing actually runs out of gas. That is not the Chinook. Fair enough. Yeah, let's just do magnetic guns. Oh, okay, never mind. They're still figuring out how armor works. That's fine. Okay. Build some stuff in the base. That's fine. Training capacity's got a few more days before it's all fully ready to go. We need more disposable grunts. Actually, let's go ahead and test out the robot. Alright, let's see what's changed with the robot. These things are pretty fun. Alright, so Mars 1. First of all, most important part, can I rename you? Alright. Okay, good. We can rename it. Now, what do we got weapon-wise? So, before you would just literally, it just had a little grabby arm up top, and you would just drop a gun in there, and it led to some goofy stuff. So, we've got a smoke launcher. Okay. We have a ballistic SMG. And, okay, hang on, primaries and secondary. So, primary is 70 times what? Just 70? Okay, so just plain 70, alright. No belt items. Secondary can either be smoke, rangefinder. I would assume that would just boost accuracy. Let's see, SMG. It says 20 kinetic times 3. Okay. And we've got a smoke launcher. I'm probably not going to use the smoke launcher much. There we go. Just put more guns on it. And then there's a heavy variant, which lowers its TUs, but what's it do to its health? Anything? Anything? Okay, so it doesn't do anything to its health, but it presumably improves its armor. Oh, wait, there it is. Oh, by 30, that's not bad at all. Okay. So, for folks unfamiliar with the armor system, I assume this works like Xeno 1, but basically, when it fires, if it doesn't, it's kind of like New Vegas, basically. If, it's a threshold system where, if this thing fired on one of these, it would get, 20 of its damage, or actually, 15 of its damage through, and it would reduce that ballistic armor. Whereas if this thing were to fire, it basically would probably do next to no damage, if any damage at all. And then it would just reduce the armor for each bullet that hit. So, anyway. Wait, did it not rename it? No, it did rename it. Okay. Why didn't it show it on the screen, then? Okay, it probably just has to exit the screen to update. That's fine. Anywho, let's go ahead and send them out to this base. See what they can or cannot potentially find. Alright. And if I'm timing this right, they should get there right at break of day. Give them just a sec here. One thing I do hope that they do for this one is potentially add more, timing-based attempts. Or, timing-based, stuff. So, one of the potentially... one of the things that was both cheesy, but also occasionally annoying when it came to, to Xeno 1 there was the fact that you could technically stall any mission infinitely by just sending out a dropship and just repeatedly, canceling and sending it out. As long as something was technically on its way there, it would stay as long as you needed it to. But this also kind of meant that if you, if you wanted to wait for a day mission and you ended up sitting there hovering for a second, they might potentially just instantly disappear, which, granted, yes, you are asking for it if you set yourself up in such a way, but in a lot of cases it's like you sent somebody out already, they're going to be there any minute now, and if you were to just let them go, they would get there just fine, but having them wait like a couple minutes, basically, like in-game time anyway, would suddenly be the difference between everything working or not. But if you were to send a different dropship, again, they would stay there forever. So it's just, I don't know. Hopefully they fix that. Right. So what we're gonna do... Oh, it is a 3-door. Okay, so we're gonna send practically everybody. We're gonna leave 2 here to guard the doors. Maybe somebody with grenades or something. Yeah, you can go ahead and guard over here. So in that case, we're gonna leave 4 on the B team, and we are gonna leave everybody else running forward. Yes, we should leave some HMGs here. Don't worry about it. We'll be fine. Snipers are going to kind of cover the rear here, so I don't expect them to do very much. They can always counter with pistols. I didn't explain this earlier. Basically, secondary weapon mechanics are just, if they can't use their main ones, they'll try to use their secondary ones. So basically, if you have snipers, you give them a pistol, and they'll be like, oh, well, I can't shoot this rifle. Time to whip out, ye old pistol, and it works. Okay, they got some machine type thing too. Alright, now I should have probably used a shoddy person for the door. But this thing's gonna have by far the most armor. So shoddy on the door. Else can kind of stack in this direction. It's not ideal, but I really like this bass music right now. I don't know if it's coming through properly, but this music is new, and I'm If anything, like, it kind of reminds me of Echo the Dolphin. And anything that reminds me of Echo is good. So if you're going for optimal creepiness, it's hard to do better than that dang dolphin. Alright. So kind of the question now is how much ammo it takes to blast through these doors. I do really love how they've redone the door since last patch too, that it's a more fitting art style now. I'm thinking we hold a turn, because they're definitely approaching this way. Though I do hope that they have a end all button at some point. See, the thing is, if you force them to open a door, they're almost guaranteed to get counter shot. Although, interestingly, the doors do auto-close now. Alright. This is not a great plan, but it is a plan. It's only a plan. And I'm pretty sure once I go back and read the patch notes at some point that there'll probably be something along the lines of, like, here's this button combo that makes everybody's turns end. Alright. What the hell are... Well, that's a dude. Okay. Interesting. I know they said that, you know, it was some mysterious peoples or whatever else. I didn't think we were getting, you know, legally distinct from Exalt right away, but... Alright. I'm not against that idea. So now that you're pretty much good to go this way, we're definitely going to have some people around. Probably crouch, because they're almost certainly going to get ambushed. Makes me think that this door probably could do with a little bit of raiding here. So we'll send our 2 rifles up this way, clear this way. It's probably a mirror image of this one. This looks like... If I were to guess, this is probably laid out like a Xenonauts 1 base, by the looks of it. Like, if their HQ is going to be in here. This looks really reminiscent of that, and if that's exactly what it is, I'm going to be so happy, because that's such a cool callback. Okay. So that's one side cleared. I'm trying to figure out what to do with the snipers now, because they're cleared up, and they'll probably want to go around here. In fact, let's go ahead and have them stack up like that. There's 2 nice long-range shots right there. These 2 are fine as they are. I would like these ones spread out a little bit. Okie doke. Yeah, that first shot must have potentially counted as armor damage. He's surprised he was guarding that area. Thundery. Oh, that's a turret. Okay. Was not expecting them to come in with mechs and things. You know, these are good surprises. You know what else would be a good surprise? If this guy could land a shot. Right, okay, so, yeah. It's not red, so that's what's going on here. It is just armor damage. There we go, getting proper damage in. Not bad, not exactly good damage either. Okay. Yeah, I think he's probably going to be good where he is right now. Got one guy injured. Yeah, that's going to be one guy dead in a moment. Or that. Okay. Sure. Again, it's just good to see that everybody's using drones. That's pretty cool. Need to get this guy medicated. Anything with you? No. You probably... yeah, you don't either. God, I love this music. This is so good. These guys exactly. They are cleaner soldier. Okay, cleaners. That's what their deal is. Okay, that's what that autopsy was at the start. And it's good to see the little drones are definitely solid. It's kind of like enemy spotted things, making me think a whole lot of this thing that I was playing a little while ago called I'm Not a Monster. Where it was like old cheesy, like science fiction kind of nonsense, but it's also kind of like XCOM, or Shadowrun kind of deal. Anyway. Right. Let's get you this way. Also that way, because I doubt they're going to be ultra brazen about running out here, but, you know, prep for whatever is needed, I suppose. Yes, I know they haven't acted. That's fine. That's intentional. I mean, I know the rifles probably aren't going to do jack at that range, and the snipers get a chance to do their thing. I'm really, really liking how this is coming together right now. This is just making me happy. Ignore the stutter, ignore the jank. I mean, it'll happen. Yes, technically I should move these snipers away. And actually, one little detail that I appreciate that they changed in this one. So for X Division, you usually had 2 or 3 bursts, depending on what kind of rifle you had. In the original Xeno, you usually had 1 burst, one little pop, if you didn't move. In this one, they changed it to like sort of a middle ground between both of them, wherein you can do like a burst and a pop, and then still pop back into cover. There. Actually, I really appreciate that they keep their secondary out at this point, because for the longest time they would literally only show that they had a secondary when they were firing it. Right. Get over here to clean this room. That's intentional. Thank you, computer. given that we know so far, I'm gonna bet maybe 3 more bipeds, 2 more robots, something like that. Okay. Well, that's not a small number. Crap. Yeah, I kind of wish kneeling didn't have the chance to trigger that. But he's already fired twice. He's not doing anything else. Goodbye. Or not, because he's still using his secondary. Dumb. I did a dumb. Oh, dang. Just like coming in here and just taking everybody out. Please don't. And we're just going to not talk about that. Moving on. Yeah, I really like that this is basically like a disassembled version of a Xeno base from the first game. Yes, thank you, computer. That is intentional. And that's the reason that I bum rushed this guy up there. Cool thing about just tank units in general in Xeno is you can sometimes just bum rush them up to the front to make up for doing some really dumb moves. Alright, dead. No, but close. Oh! Hang on, what did I say before? I think I said like 3 bipeds, 2 robots. That's not far off. Okay, well, he's dead. Next. Alright, willing sacrifice number 2. So if these work like I think... Yeah, okay, so... Dead on with a grenade, guaranteed splatification. Everybody else gets 5 damage from shrapnel. Alright. That's... You know what? That's consistent, and I really like that. It seems like there's a big push towards consistency in this one. Alright, good. Yeah, this feels good. This feels fair. Liking where this is looking so far. Yeah, I think we're just gonna have robot handle cleanup over here. Out in the open, but this should be the good kind of out in the open. Where just everybody's getting shot from so many different directions that we should be safe. That's not the safest spot for her to be in, but it's, you know, whatever. It's not a final campaign by any means. Let's see. Snipey's got no shots, but we can fix that. can definitely hear the lack of sleep right now. I just noticed throat's already started to make weird noises as it does. Alright. Oh, you know what? I just noticed they have short and long bursts. I did not realize they actually had that in there. Nice. Okay, so let's see who survives this round. I mean, I'm guaranteeing that we're certainly winning the fight in general, but we're probably losing another maybe one or two. Because they're suppressed and surrounded, they're just going to be panic firing. If the robot doesn't do anything, we're probably safe. Alright. Yeah, HMGs used to be busted in previous builds. It seems like your own units getting suppressed isn't a thing yet. Honestly, I think I might not be the only one that's completely okay if it never is. Like, it's one of those ideas that's cool in theory, but, you know, does anybody really like when their people panic? Okay, robot go boom. Perfect. Oh, and another cool little mini feature here. Seems like they automatically go to your next, next highest shooting option. Okay, not bad. It doesn't seem like the AI is planning to get terribly aggressive at any point. At least not yet. But again, there only was AI implemented in the very last patch, so it's still pretty dumb at this point. But alright. You go here. Here. You reload at some point. You can't open a door. Good to know. Okie doke. I was very wrong in the number of units. I do still think we can win it pretty good, though. They've got like little brain sucker floater dealies. Nice. Can you make that a twofer? Not quite, but I do like the gist of that cannon. Interesting. I mean, that was an accident, but still. That's fine. I need her to have points, though. Beautiful. Alright, cannon, please. Suppression will work just fine. Get you over here. Probably start working on flanking people around the other side. Yeah, this area's clear. I know we couldn't see that one corner, but it seemed pretty likely that it was clear anyway. Alright, you get moving, you get moving. See, this is like, I love these little moments in like Xeno in general. Like where you can just kind of tab between all your different units and they're all swarming around and just feels good. It's like one of those rare moments where it feels like you're controlling a bunch of units. Actually, one of the things that kind of bugged me about original XCOM every time I played it, that you couldn't tab between your units, and they did change that later. Like Newcom and stuff like that did add the ability to just tab between people, and you just kind of scooted around the map. Anyway. Hmm. Alright, we'll have to rebuild that thing. Okay, I get it. Enemy spotted. How do you suppress jelly? Okay, so they are apparently... No, wait, okay, I was gonna say they are multi-everything, like there's female cleaner units, but that was friendly fire. I think technically that should have been impossible. It's the only reason I attempted it. I thought that was a safe shot. Apparently not. Well, the more you know, I guess. We did a winning. Yeah, I love that music. It's so good. I'm excited. This is really making me feel hopeful. Like, especially the updates in the last couple patches have changed so many little things. Curious to see what the new UFO designs look like, because supposedly they went off of the like placeholder, we sort of vaguely remade UFOs type situation. Yeah, we didn't get to really go over very many questions from people or whatever else, but hopefully this at least gives a good general idea of kind of how it's all coming together right now, because, you know, feels good. Feels like they're definitely starting to iron out some stuff. It seems like they got the visual style down. One thing I do hope that they put a little bit of emphasis on, just because recently I've been going through another game that does it really well, is just like kind of general firing stances and poses and things, which they are definitely improved at this point. But like, for example, recently I was going through MG Acid 2 specifically, and I know it's like a subtle who cares kind of thing, but it's just the fact that they had like every time somebody was taking a shot or whatever else, you could very evidently tell that somebody did some research on how that thing presumably properly should be used or whatever else. Like, even like it bills itself as a dumb funny card game, and it's just like it zooms in and the got all the rifle sticking out and whatever else, and then zooms in on all that, and I don't know, it felt very kinetic the way that they did it. Alright, let's see. Hi there, Bundy. Hi, game is at the moment in closed beta status, right? Or can anyone play the beta? I don't know. It's got a bunch of different versions, and I don't know who's doing what where. I know that I signed up for a backer build forever ago. Like, specifically, canceled out of... Like, I went and refunded Phoenix Point to go back this instead. Because they reopened it for like a week. Because people were just asking for a way to throw their money at it to get early access. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. Like, especially the last few patches seem to have started ironing out a lot of things. So this is the experimental branch. That's why it's at version 20. I believe the stable version is like version 18 or something. Something along them lines. But yeah, they just recently implemented AI. They seem to be ironing out the visuals. The overall performance is way better than it was before. Again, the load times, far as I've seen, might be something to do like PC to PC. Like, I have a far crappier laptop that's able to load this way faster, but can't even handle streaming whatsoever. This thing can handle streaming, but like, the load times are atrocious. So I think that's just kind of from PC to PC, because it hasn't come up as a very regular issue as far as I've seen. But yeah, a lot of stuff seems to be working a lot better than before. It seems like all the base stuff is looking a lot nicer. I haven't had a chance to try out the new air game or whatever else. I am noticing some new music going on in the background. Like, the base raid music was top notch. Just that nice little mix of just constantly having some music going on in the background, but having it be very subtle. And it seems like they might have the revival mechanic in here already. I don't know for sure. They might. So you got promoted because that one, presumably because that one died. I don't know. Maybe not. Got Mentark. I assume that's that tentaculate dealy. Got cleaners, sentry guns, yada yada. Let's go and rebuild the pulverizer. Rebuild. Make it live. What do you mean? What do you mean Mars Wreckage 0? Explain. Huh. Maybe you have to, like, research rebuilding them or something. Or no. It's probably because the dropship. Okay, they probably have implemented, yeah. Actually, no. I think it already had dropship mechanics before. Hi there, Safe Sloth. How's it going? And yeah, we're probably reaching towards the tail end of this particular stream. I was mostly doing it because I couldn't really sleep. There we go. There we go. There's stuff. There's stuff now. Saline containment. We still have another day for the armor to come out. I probably won't be using it very much, but I will. There we go. Get the rebuild. Get the pulverizer up and running again. I have to say I was really happy with how the Mars is looking these days. Seems like it is functioning like a one-tile version of the Hunter from before, but with an actual armor system behind it. It definitely did a way better job tanking than I would have expected. Let's see, Kevlar Vest, so this is just basically another layer. So the way that they've said that armor is going to work basically is just you have a underlayer that you upgrade to that's kind of your typical upgrade the tier now kind of moment. And then you get different layers that you slap on there for different kinds of effects. Usually you improve one thing and get a downside elsewhere. Right. Probably go for alloys first. Now the question is, do we have to... Yeah, we do have to build combat armor. It's relatively cheap. Like, it's basically the same price as Jackal was in the original, except you have an actual budget in this one. They funded you more than your local Taco Bell. Alright. Alright, we finished some stuff there. And here, let me show that off again, too. Because I forget exactly how you do this, but yeah, there we go. So you can just basically go and shut stuff off. So storerooms don't take any power, living quarters, I mean, you don't need to power the beds, but it's like you go over here and then it's like can turn stuff on and off if you need more power for something. So that's cool, you know. Nice little interaction there. Okay, moving right along. What else we got? Let's see, completed their work on the scout platform. Anything else? No. So yeah, you basically just build a list of stuff that you want to have done instead of assigning engineers, so you don't have to worry about that as before. What I'm not sure about right now, though, is what's going on with the overworld missions, like whether they were temporarily removed or what. Because there's supposed to be like little mini missions that you send extra units out for, and then you get different availabilities for like for slots for engineers and scientists and whatever. It is possible that that little bit was removed, or maybe that comes up once the orbital bombardment starts. I don't know. Let's see. Make alloys will be vital. Okay. Presumably, that'll be pretty handy. Engineer, dismantle UFO hull. Okay, so they did include some X division in here by being able to dismantle some bits and pieces. So we'll get some alloy plating for one of our planes. Get a disassembly project. I don't know why we haven't gotten that yet. Presumably they have to bring it to base or something. Or no, we haven't actually technically shot down a UFO yet. We've done 2 missions, but we haven't gotten one UFO. There's one. Now we get to listen to that sweet air game music. Man, seriously, I hope that they release the soundtrack with the game, because it's been pretty great so far. Let's do this thing. See if they implemented the quick keys for this one yet. Okay, no quick keys as of yet, and this is not exactly lining up properly. Oh wait, yeah, no, they have implemented quick keys. What am I talking about? They don't have the same cheesable AI as of yet. It's like in the original, you could cheese the AI a whole bunch. Although, how on earth this guy's carrying friggin' 20 sidewinders on him, I have no idea. That's a lot of missiles on that little thing, but as you may have been able to tell, the screen kind of follows around, so you don't get stuck on the edge of the thing. Let's get some people on that ship, as we do have some empty slots right now. First of all, get you back in there. Now, when we rebuilt the pulverizer... Okay, it's not fully rebuilt yet. That guy's out of commission. I guess we'll just get all our randos in there. And by the way, if anybody has any questions, do feel free to ask. I'll try to answer them as best I can. Can't guarantee I know it all yet. Basically just been playing this version, but I can at least tell you what I know. Alright, you're recovering. You are free. Okay. You know, honestly, if the little, like, side mission mechanic was relegated to something else, I would not really be too upset about that. This is actually feeling pretty good right now. Having just these extra people here that have not randomly been assigned to all corners of the world does feel pretty okay. This SMG on the Mars feels pretty friggin' weak, but whatever, it's fine. It does its job. It's mostly a suppression weapon, so... Oh well. What are we missing weapon-wise here? I feel like we're probably pretty good. It's fine. Alright, that's probably going to be the last mission we're doing for today. And for a hot minute, because I probably won't have time to stream anything again until like 4 versions from now. As it goes. But I did want to at least see how the new UFOs are looking. Because everything else is looking much, much, much smoother, so that'll be good. That's mentioning about different types of gun mechanics on the bottom. I do really like how they're doing the secondaries right now. That instead of just being the pocket pistol, you do actually keep the thing out and you properly switch to it, kind of Fallout style there. I guess it does kind of have a little bit of a Fallout Tactics vibe at the moment. If it was easier to play that thing. So many cool ideas behind Fallout Tactics. It just Needed some better implementation. Kind of like this, so far. Anyway. We'll see how it all plays out. Feel free to load anytime there, 99%. Don't worry, nobody's judging you, nobody's watching you. But, you know, it probably would be good to get this thing going. Anytime now. We're not looking to simulate the actual time it takes to get there. Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I pretty much bring this up every time that I do one of these update things, but the original dropship, the Osprey, was really funny. It's the same. If you're wondering why it's like that kind of cross-shaped looking thing on the overworld map, they haven't changed that sprite as of yet. But yeah, you basically had this this dropship plane type situation that was just a complete death trap. Just because the way that stuff spawned in a lot of cases, you would get one person out of the dropship. They would end up triggering reaction fire, but everybody was like, the thing was like a parachuting plane more or less. So everybody's just sitting right next to each other in a line as this one rando unit just suddenly, you know, fires a burst and ends up taking out 3 people. So yeah, it was it's a good thing that thing's retired these days. But I do really hope they still include it as an option. Like if you play on insane mode or something, you play with the Osprey. All right. Well, you're probably not taking a realistic shot anyway, so we'll just put you over here. You tell me what's going on in this direction. Yeah, we got a rando. Should probably move into... Oh, no. Dang scribs. I don't know what they're actually called in this. They just make me think of the scribs from Abe's Odyssey. I think that's what they were called, right? Apparently very easy to hit, though. So apparently pretty reasonably resilient. Perfect. Then we have this guy. Bring his cannony self over this way. Just take some armor hits here. Okay, that was a pretty reasonably high roll on that hit there. So is that one. Gonna feel like the cannon will probably have an AoE at some point, but it's feeling a whole lot like what's that one that looks like a Sherman in X Division? The Shepherd or something like that? I forget. Something like that. Or Defender? Was it the Defender? It might have been the Defender, but either way, the cannon tank from X-Div is what that thing's feeling a whole lot like right now. Like, it takes a few reasonable hits. Thing ends up attacking one tile. Feels good, though. But either way, two kills to 1 injury so far. And there we go. There's the new scout, looking pretty snazzy. Now, if I read that right, bleeding is now at the end of your turn instead of the beginning, which would be a very, very welcome change. Because it was easily one of the most frustrating things in the original. This thing seems to have incredibly long range. Nice! Okay, so still got splatification on enough damage. So that's good. Now, let's see if they implemented the 5-turn mechanic. For anyone unfamiliar, in the original Xeno, you basically, if you held a UFO for 5 turns, you just won. Everything else was just considered dead, and that was that. So, might as well see if it's there. Because I know there was the pop-up basically telling you that the mechanic existed before, but it didn't actually work. It doesn't really seem like something that would really get priority, but we'll see. There, you're going to be kind of going around here. It's kind of bum rushing everywhere. It seems like these guys don't really do wonders when they're out in the open. And that guy probably would have attacked something if there was anything that direction. So we're probably good. Make this one nice and quick. You know, it's almost a little bit relieving not having some of the early game tricks from the first one. Like, the whole flashbang capture trick is really neat, until you realize that, you know, if you're playing on Insane, it's basically going to take you, what, like, 20-something flashbangs to get a lizard? Anyway. Like, oftentimes you would literally run out of flashbangs before you could actually do anything with it, on higher difficulties and such. It did work for some things, though. All I'm saying is, I really would not be too upset if it didn't work in this one at all. Yeah, that place has to be clear. Feeling reasonably confident about that area, too. I'd like to hopefully have at least 2 rifles watching the door. Go. Alright. That's looking like an okay setup. No particularly worrying lines. Probably just have the robot go blow the door open. See if we can still just do the standard blow the door down and have everybody snipe inside until the mission ends. Or the X Division route of, you know, fire a rocket underneath the door until everything inside is asleep. Seems these things are still missing some indoor textures, that's fine. This looks perfect. Well, more or less, anyway. HMG guy from before probably should be doing something else, but Okay. Face had me confused there for a second what was going on. Alright, an HMG guy can go ahead and go this way. Okay, and that should be the turn. So with the AI basically implemented, they said that they should do more than just kind of sit in place and patrol, so we'll see if they do the whole desperation thing. Supposedly in this one they're gonna do more like active patrolling, like they're supposed to identify how the different maps look and try to actually have a plan in mind other than just dynamically trying to figure out what you're doing and countering it. You know, for better or worse. Okay, that is really cool that it actually leaves a hole where the shot went instead of just bouncing off. Though I'm hoping there's the option to turn off the turn counter thing. I get it. Just end the turn. Just end the turn. I'm not moving anybody. Overwatch traps are pretty common in this. I'm sure the button to turn that off exists somewhere. One thing I'm really curious about is if they'll eventually... Oh, that's not helpful. Oh, he doesn't have the points to it. Okay. Eventually what? I don't know. I lost my train of thought. One thing I am seeing also, unlike last time, it seems like the doors actually split into 2 segments. We'll see if that becomes relevant to anything down the road. Okay. Yeah, these doors can take a lot of punishment. Though, again, previously you could just, you know, cherry tap these doors until they were gone. Now, different weapon types are supposedly supposed to work differently against different props, so more than likely, like, this is just designed to not work this way. So this trick probably just won't work in this one, but it's worth, you know, worth a try. That'll do. Welp. Apparently basic shots can vaporize. Good to know. Alright. Yes, pretty much nobody's active this turn. Just leave it be. thank you for destroying our own thing. So I was hoping to have you just wait outside, but okay. That's fine. I mean, granted, that is exactly how the game's gonna work. That's how it's always worked. Though the fact that you have 100% accuracy, this does kind of make that sting, though. So yeah, that works. Seems to work about as expected. So good to see that you can't really blow the door open with just, you know, any old bullets anymore. That is one cheesy thing out the window. You have to spend some of the explosives you brought along. For anyone that never played the original, usually the optimal thing was just surround the door, get a couple HMGs going, and just blast away at it, more or less. If you needed to capture something, you threw gas inside. If not, you just went nuts with it. And then later on, you just went batons and shields. And sort of just HMG'd inside until everything inside was suppressed, and then you just like went in with shields and just beat everything with sticks, because the stun baton, for whatever reason, could almost one-shot dang near anything in the game. Including the last boss. But anyway. So that'll be that. I think I'm just going to call it there. So we'll just let this thing load up and see what else ends up coming to mind. Actually, come to think of it, maybe we should just wait until we run into either the next event or the orbital bombardment. I'm fairly certain they must not have taken that out, right? I suppose we'll see. Come on, finish loading. Hopefully, eventually, once they actually start optimizing stuff, I'm hoping that's when, you know, the load times will go a bit more reasonable. Like, as it stands, it's slightly more complicated than the first one, but I would imagine eventual load times would probably be a few seconds. Yeah, this thing should definitely be able to load stuff a lot faster, but what can you do, right? Early access is gonna be early access like that. Come on now. Get that last 1%. Yeah, I will say the early game so far really reminds me of like XCOM Files or like Terrifying World of Silence or anything like that, where there's seemingly a lot of options given to you right at the very start, and you're kind of given some time to just sort of flop around and, you know, figure out what's going on, rather than just like research invasion, research you know, live thing, you know, research how to find a leader, research like, instead of just like going for the next plot event, so to speak. So I really hope that it does continue with the way that it seems to be going. Is you get some early setup time, so like the first month or so, you know, you get some time to get going, you know, get some early text going, figure out how exactly you want to build everything, and then, you know, by the time the bombardment starts, then you actually have your you know, your build ready to go, so to speak. Yeah, definitely time to get to bed, though. I think all that coffee's finally worn off. It's just the most annoying thing sometimes. Like, you get to bed after a long day, and it's like, can't sleep. God only knows why, but can't sleep. Actually, explain how that works. So, a lot of times, when there simply is no time to sleep and a bunch of stuff to get done, what I like to do is use what I call coffee naps. So basically, you got like 10-15 minutes to take a nap, but if you take a nap normally, you're just going to end up oversleeping. So basically, we'll just down an entire mug of coffee at once, faceplant, and then wake up as soon as caffeine hits and things like that. Usually that works to feel pretty well relieved very quickly. But yeah, attempting to do that at night, just instant complete asleepness. It's weird. Alright. So mantids are apparently what those things are. Now, out of curiosity, have we finished rebuilding? No. 1 day, 3 hours left. I'm curious if the rebuild will keep the name. Because I assume it just creates a new one. For shorters. Yeah, they're fine doing as they're doing. Is it the pulverizer? No, it's the Mars 3. Okay, well, that's fine, whatever. That is perfectly fine and acceptable. Right, alloy forge, Nito. Now, strangely enough, before, you were able to, kind of do this whole thing where you would just set up a line of different techs. They've kept that for engineering, which works, but it doesn't seem like they've done that for it doesn't seem like they've done that for the other stuff, or for research. Alright, so we can build an alloy forge. I like that it takes its own, building in the base. It's pretty cool. So Scion seems like I think it's going to be the same as before. Magnetic weapons just basically say, hey, you can use alien weapons now. Nope. That's fine. It's deciding whether or not to crash because I put it on fast and it had a bunch of stuff happening at once. Alright, well, anyway, that is the game telling me it's time to go to bed. Alright. So there we go. You guys have a good one. Take care. It seems to have crashed at the moment. Right. Good night.